Tremenda emisión la de hoy, pues hablaremos con los creadores de la tan esperada serie Prehistoric Planet. Pero antes recuerda darle me gusta a este video, suscribirte al canal si aún no lo haces, activa la campana para que no te pierdas los siguientes shows y comparte a Freakysaur en tus redes sociales. Todo lo que te solicitamos es completamente gratis. Estás viendo Freakysaur. Experimenta las maravillas de nuestro mundo como nunca antes en esta docuserie épica de Jon Favreau y los productores de Planet Earth. Prehistoric Planet combina la filmación galardonada de vida silvestre, los últimos aprendizajes de paleontología y tecnología de punta para revelar los espectaculares hábitats y habitantes de la Tierra antigua en una experiencia inmersiva única en su tipo. La serie es producida por el equipo de renombre mundial en la Unidad de Historia Natural de la BBC Studios, con el apoyo de los efectos visuales fotorrealistas como en el Rey León y el Libro de la Selva, aplicados al arte conceptual creado por Jellyfish Pictures, vistos en el Libro de Boba Fett y enmarcados con la sensacional banda sonora de Hans Zimmer. Prehistoric Planet presenta hechos poco conocidos y sorprendentes de la vida de los dinosaurios en el contexto de los entornos de la época del Cretácico, incluidas las costas, los desiertos, los mundos de hielo, los mundos de agua dulce y los bosques. El serial Prehistoric Planet ya fue estrenado al público en las salas cinematográficas de Inglaterra y Los Ángeles, a las que asistieron los realizadores de la misma y en la que los asistentes pudieron disfrutar algunos capítulos. Previo a la proyección en pantallas IMAX, se construyó un hermosísimo escenario a la entrada de la sala que mostraba una ambientación sensacional de la época de los dinosaurios. Disfrutemos un poco con imágenes exclusivas de dicho evento, tanto en Londres como en Los Ángeles. Además de que los invitados fueron recibidos con un fabuloso cóctel, entre las rutilantes estrellas se encontraba el productor ejecutivo de la docuserie, el sensacional Jon Favreau, también el afamado naturalista Sir David Attenborough, así como los demás productores ejecutivos, animadores de la serie, gente de efectos visuales y una pléyade de talentos que hicieron posible este programa que ya es súper esperado por los amantes de los lagartos terribles. También hubo espacio para la alfombra roja y zona de entrevistas previas a la proyección exclusiva para invitados especiales. El productor del documental, Michael Gunton, señaló la importancia de hacer una serie como esta y cómo surgió la idea de la misma.
So it's been a long time, 10 years since I first pretty much had the idea. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but it actually came about in quite a strange way. I was standing on a mountainside doing a piece to camera, they call it, for the introduction of a series about Africa with Sir David Attenborough. And he was standing on this mountain saying, nowhere does wildlife put on a greater show, which of course is true, and that was, cut, thank you very much. And I was thinking, I wonder if that's always the case. I reckon it was probably the best time wildlife ever put on a greater show was when the dinosaurs were here. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder if we could do that. Could I take everybody on this mountainside, including Sir David, stick them in a time machine, fly them back 65 million years ago, and make a wildlife series like we were, but about dinosaurs? And that's really that's the germ of the idea.
También especificó cuáles fueron los retos para hacerla.
Some of the same challenges that you have when you make a wildlife documentary going into the wilds. You know, we had to film all the environments in which you see the animals are real, most of them. And so, of course, you have to go to these places. And these are wild places with, you know, they're tricky and the elemental forces, the deserts boiling hot and miles from anywhere. So you have that challenge. But I think one of the biggest challenges was a mindset challenge, which is that when you're working in a CGI world, you can put a camera anywhere. You can have as many cameras as you like, but that isn't how it works in our world. So we had to constrain ourselves and say, right, if we were filming this, how would we film it? You can't put a camera close to a T-Rex because you'll get eaten. You know, so you have to think about, or you know, you can't have 10 shots of that because the behavior is going to happen so quickly. You have to shoot it on one camera. So all that kind of thinking had to be passed on, not just from us, but into all the CG artists. And I think when you watch it, it's the way it's cut, the way it's paced, the way it looks. It feels like it's been photographed for real.
Y tuvo tiempo para comentar la invaluable labor de Sir David Attenborough como anfitrión y narrador de la serie.
At the back of my mind, it was always going to be Sir David's series. You know, he was always going to be the narrator for a whole slew of reasons. One, the authority he brings. Second, I've known him for a long time, and I know the passion he has about this area. And thirdly, I wanted to feel like we really were making planet Earth 66 million years ago. And so a lot of the style and the approach and the filmic grammar that we have is exactly like that. And so, of course, the final thing you need in that ingredient is Sir David's voice. So, yeah, perfect.
Por último, se le cuestionó sobre las expectativas que tiene sobre la reacción del público.
I hope they enjoy it because I hope they'll find it an extraordinary experience. You know, this is like being allowed through a portal to step inside a world that you would never normally be able to do. And if people feel they've done that, then that would be very, very rewarding. But I think there's more than that. I think it shows a lot about the wonders of the planet. You know, as a wildlife filmmaker, that's what we do. We talk about extraordinary world and how animals live and behave. And I hope people are going to see a new chapter of that, which they don't normally see. And also a bit about fragility. You know, these were the most successful animals probably of all time. Yet even they, you know, wiped out in a moment. And I think it reminds you that even, you know, we hold on to life tenuously, and so we should be careful and look after the planet, because actually Mother Nature's probably stronger than all of us.
Otros personajes muy importantes para la realización de Prehistoric Planet fueron los cineastas Paul Thompson y Matthew Wright, quienes señalaron cuáles fueron los dinosaurios que más los impresionaron al realizar este programa.
I learned that there's a flying reptile that's as tall as the biggest giraffe that's ever lived, so that's pretty cool. And it could fly. It's the heaviest creature that ever flew, 1/4 ton. That was a new one on me.
Yeah, and I learned that there's a feathered dinosaur that's bigger than T-Rex, so Dinocyrus is this enormous swamp-dwelling dinosaur, which is bigger than T-Rex and covered in feathers, which is incredible.
El consultor de la serie fue el paleontólogo británico Darren Naish, quien aclaró la importancia de la visión moderna que tiene la ciencia sobre los dinosaurios.
The dinosaurs, as we understand them today, were not the dinosaurs of like our parents or grandparents. They were not boring, static animals that were, you know, not particularly interesting in behavioural terms. We think right now that dinosaurs, on the contrary, were incredibly flamboyant, show-offy animals. They were really quite ridiculous and extreme in terms of how visual they were and how much they used body postures, body signals, communication. So you're talking about colourful, flamboyant, show-offy animals, often using bird-like behaviour. We focus on these kinds of things so much in Prehistoric Planet. It's going to be one of the main take-home points for the audience, and it's something that hasn't really been done before. So I'm very happy that we incorporate that new look of dinosaurs into our series. What you're really going to take away from Prehistoric Planet is the idea that the late Cretaceous world, we are only interested in this series in the last 6 million years of the late Cretaceous, a tiny slither of the whole so-called age of dinosaurs. You're going to take away from this the idea that the world was incredibly complex. There were all kinds of different environments, and the animals living in those different environments, and they inhabited, you know, every single one of them, were themselves incredibly diverse, incredibly fascinating, and often stranger than conventionally we've been shown.
Ahora sí, poco a poco los espectadores fueron ubicándose en sus asientos a la espera de un espectáculo magnífico que seguramente será inolvidable. La presentación de la docuserie en Los Ángeles estuvo a cargo del productor ejecutivo Jon Favreau, quien, recibido entre aplausos del respetable, indicó:
Hey everybody, thanks for coming out. There's stuff in this series that seems a bit outlandish, but I assure you that it's based on the latest science. We're going to be showing a different biome every night for 5 nights, so you'll be able to watch this all in a row on Apple TV+. And if you want to know a little bit more about why we depicted the things in the show that are there, we're going to have smaller pieces of content that go out with it that show the behind the scenes and the scientific basis for all of the conjecture that you're about to see.
Fue así como se les proyectó este magnífico espectáculo que nosotros estamos a punto de apreciar cuando Prehistoric Planet se estrene globalmente en Apple TV Plus este 23 de mayo.
We're just at the BFI IMAX cinema in central London. We're about to show the UK premiere of Prehistoric Planet, which will start to air on Apple TV Plus on May the 23rd. Looks phenomenal. We can't wait for people to see it on the biggest screen possible.
Everyone loves dinosaurs, everyone's fascinated by them, and I don't quite know why that is, whether it's the size or the fact they don't exist anymore, but it's been a really exciting project to bring them to life in such a dramatic way, and what an amazing collaboration to have Sir David Attenborough, Hans Zimmer, Jon Favreau and the Natural History Unit. It just doesn't get better than that.
Join us for a story you've never heard on a scale you've never witnessed.
I wanted to feel like we really were making planet Earth 66 million years ago. It's the way it's cut, the way it's paced, the way it looks. It feels like it's been photographed, for real.
I think probably not an exaggeration to say the most ambitious factual program ever made.
The science behind this project is so authentic, and people are going to see dinosaurs in a completely different way from the way they've seen them previously.
They were not boring, static animals. Dinosaurs, on the contrary, were incredibly flamboyant, show-offy animals.
We talk quite a lot at Apple about what it means to sit at the cross-section of art and science, and Prehistoric Planet does that brilliantly. I hope you enjoy the show.
Gracias por acompañarnos en este viaje por el fantástico mundo de los dinosaurios. Este show fue preparado para ti. Antes de despedirnos, te pedimos que te suscribas a nuestro canal. Es completamente gratis. Aplica la manita arriba si te gustó el video y selecciona la campanita para que no te pierdas el próximo show. Y no te olvides de compartirnos en tus redes sociales. Platícanos qué es lo que quieres ver en Freakisaur en la caja de comentarios y te esperamos la próxima semana en un episodio más de Freakisaur.